To add to the agenda.
We could add proposed meeting schedule.
Okay, meeting schedule, sure.
The way
Between the director of the board and the tourism board.
okay.
All right, anything else we need to add to the agenda? All right, let's take a look at is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Approval of the minutes.
So we had July and September and November, the last two meetings, we did not have.
We do not have a quorum the last two meetings, yes, correct. So we do several of the shorts. Is there a motion to approve all three sets of minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, motion,
Second.
second, okay. Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
I'm sorry, Deborah, was that you that made?
Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, Terry.
Recognition of the public. Terry, do you want to say anything since you're here? You're the public?
No.
Okay.
Thank you, Brad.
Okay, close recognition of the public. Finance report.
Alrighty, so our income for July through December was $371,656.65, and our expenses were $300,332,378.06. That'll really mess you up there.
Lots of threes.
Our checking account balance is $272,419.44, and our budget is on target. And just for those of you who are new, most of our major expenses come in towards the end of the year with sports tournaments, our heritage marketing grants that we do with our historic sites, and then miscellaneous events, and then the printing of our travel guide. So those things will come in the coming months.
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, on average, per year, like what percentage of the expenses are administrative costs? Because for this, 43% seems pretty high.
So administrative costs.
Looking at other things, it's just,
That includes a lot of our payroll and occupying the home. No, not occupying the home, but I mean percentage. I couldn't give you the exact off the top of my head percentage, but a lot of our costs are administrative. Kelly, you could probably help me out with that.
It's basically payroll, insurance, pension.
Mm-hmm.
okay. Yeah, I would just like to see, like, what is our plan, like, long-term plan? Is administrative costs for using tax dollars, like, administrative costs shouldn't be half of what you do. That just seems extremely high, so I'd just like to see what does that breakdown look like? What does it look
Yeah,
like?
I'd be happy to send you our budget that we have approved.
Okay.
I'd be happy to send that to you.
Yeah, perfect.
I have a question on the sponsorships.
Yeah.
Going forward, could you get a little more detail as to where that money is going?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to share sponsorships with you all, and it's actually something that I do want to talk about with everybody, and we'll get there. And once we get to my director's report.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I would just, to me, I feel like marketing expenses should be the primary expenses
Right.
here, not administrative.
Right.
So I'm
How do you have
concerned about that.
So right now we have, 5 full-time people, because we also operate the Douglas Clark House.
Mhm.
So we have a full-time member there.
Right, where does that show up here in the P&L? Because that's paid for by a grant, not from occupancy taxes.
No, that's paid for the Douglas Clark House.
Mhm.
That comes out of our operating budget.
Okay,
So anything that we need at the Douglas Park House comes out of our operating budget.
okay, so it's just the employee only that's paid for by a grant?
No.
Would it-
No, I think that was renovations to
The grant was a number of years ago, and in order to get the grant, we had to agree to have a full-time employee.
Okay,
But that grant was for renovations and that
got it, okay, the grounds for
had
renovations.
nothing to do with there was a requirement that we have a full-time employee, but the grant was for renovations.
Okay.
Yes, so his salary comes out of our budget, and anything that he needs at the office supplies, anything, that comes out of our regular budget.
Okay.
And that grant has been funded, you're not still receiving funds from that grant?
No, and I
That
don't,
was
yeah.
That was several years
a
ago.
number of years ago, yes.
Does the county own that building? Did not think they did.
It's county-owned building. Any other questions? All right. Occupancy tax. So if you look here, we are $22,000 ahead of where we were last year. It went down significantly for the month of December, and I'll get to that too in a moment, but just to let the new people know, so December is actually the numbers for November. So what was collected in November will show up for December, and so on and so forth.
That's the same across the board.
Yeah.
Yes.
So either way, whatever December is, we're comparing apples to apples. Okay, thank you.
Any questions on occupancy tax?
It's funny how sometimes, some months it's 30,000 and good, and sometimes it's not.
Yeah, I have answers to that, so.
Well, it has to do with-
So you'll go into
It
detail
has
on
to do
some
with
of
weather
these things.
conditions and things like
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Yeah,
And if I have questions about historical comparison, you'll be able to answer those.
Can I ask a question about the Douglas House? I'm on the health insurance board at the county, and I didn't realize we owned the Douglas House. I just wanna make sure that we're insuring it properly, do you know? I mean, I have that meeting tomorrow, and I'm sorry to interrupt, but since that meeting's tomorrow and this is on the table.
That insurance is carried by the county, not by us. We have insurance for the facility that we're in,
I'm on that
but
board,
we do not.
so tomorrow I'm gonna make sure. I mean, we had that 3 weeks that we didn't have the insurance on the $100 million courthouse.
Right,
So
the
now I'm
county,
just worried about insurance
the
everywhere.
county pays the insurance, the utilities,
I'll check on it, thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
no problem.
and off the top, since we're talking about that, off the top of your head, how much longer do we have to have that full-time employee? How many more years?
That is a question that I would love to know the answer to. I have not been able to find the grant requirements for that. That's something I'm looking into currently, but I would love to know the answer to that question.
Can you wait be the answer? Did she have that?
Potentially,
In that office?
potentially.
Or David?
Yeah. It's just kind of one of those things, like, you know, it got put on tourism, so we just follow through with that, but
Got it.
it is it's a big issue.
Was that before this board was formed? Baker, was that with the old board?
Oh, that was the previous board.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think, because we had a county commission there one evening, and Paige Brown was still on the commission, so that was before she was elected mayor. So we're talking 2012, 2013.
So it's possible we may only have a couple more years, because I know somewhere, somebody told me it was 15 years for a full-time employee.
Yeah, and is the requirement to have a full-time employee, or is the requirement that somebody is at the building for 8 hours a day, 5
I
jobs
know
a
that-
week?
I
Like,
know
what is
that
the specific language? Because if the answer is, we're required to have a full-time employee, that's one thing, but if it's like,
Right.
we're required to have people there, then you don't actually have to have a person. You can
Right.
just trade off having people that
Right.
are already on staff there.
Right. So I know that it has to be 5 days a week, and one of the days has to be a weekend. So I do know that that is for sure. I'm not sure the specific language, but I'm definitely interested in looking into that. So,
Okay, yeah,
And
it would be
I'll-
good to see that.
I'll try to find that as soon as possible, and I'll
Sure.
share that with everybody, because I've been curious myself. So, let's see. All right. Any other questions? Alrighty. So now on to our director's report. You can kind of see here our analytics. I won't go super down into it, but we're doing really good on Facebook. You know, and this is from November, the last meeting, to now. We've reached 92,000 people on Facebook, which is awesome. Our main demographic is on Facebook, so to have that on Facebook is great. Our Instagram reach is going out significantly, and then our website traffic is 11,000 people. So
Sure.
great. But we're also running ads on Facebook right now, which is why our reach is so high right now, so that means it's working, so that's good.
Yeah, so do we have like targets for any of these? Like, this reach is good, but if our target was like 113,000 and we only hit 92,000, that's not great.
Yeah, so this has only been running for about less than a week.
Okay.
So, I could give you more details if I have my computer in front of me with like what the target is there.
Yeah, I mean, outside of this, if you wanted to spend some time with me just walking through,
Yeah.
what is the goal, what is
Yeah.
the target, and what are we expecting to get out of these things? That would be super helpful.
Yeah, so this is, the ads that are running right now are for events, so we're looking for a lot of event attractions. So, yeah, I'd be happy to answer that for you.
Okay.
So, ABA Marketplace and sales show. So, within our budget, we had talked about having an ABA fam tour. So, ABA is where we go and we meet with group tour operators in hopes that they'll bring their group tours to Sumner County. So, we had it was in Nashville this past year, so we had the opportunity to host a fam tour. So we had group tour operators come and stay in Sumner County, and we took them around and showed them all the things that they do. It was amazing. They had such an amazing time, and, we had a lot of success come from that. We had a couple group tour operators for their groups currently that are adding days to their trip just to come to Sumner County, which is a huge success.
Yes.
But for the new people that we met, they book a year out, so they're going to start booking for 2025. So our sales manager is working on itineraries, and, she met with all of them and took their notes and what they wanted to see and what their groups like. So she will be building itineraries for them and sharing that, and so hopefully we'll get a lot of groups coming out of that. We had the most appointments at ABA that I think we have probably ever had. I think last year we had about 15, and this year she had 45 appointments.
Wow.
So that was impressive. I think a lot of that attributes to it being in Nashville this past year. The attendance for ABA was a lot higher, but it was a huge success for us. So I'm feeling very confident about that.
All right, so but it's not in Nashville.
It was in Nashville this year. The last time it was in Nashville was 10 years ago. So it could be in Nashville again in 10 years, but we had a lot of great participation out of that. And then our 2024 travel guide is complete. I do want to note that this is probably the first time that it has ever been completed before February, March. So we were making final changes end of December, but now it is finally ready to go to print. With the advertisers and having their ads designed, sometimes that, eats away at stuff. But our content has been done since November. But it is ready to go to print. I'm taking bids right now for the printing costs, and hopefully we'll get that by the mid-February. We're hoping for that. And then our ad sales this year. So we kind of did a new approach this year. We increased the price of ads by 10%. They haven't been increased in probably ever. So, printing costs are a lot higher than they used to be. So we did want to increase that a little bit. And then Sue and Maddie did our, outreach for that. So we printed nice little cards for them to take out, and they were very intentional about scheduling meetings with the right people. And then this year we added digital advertising benefits as well. So we'll make posts with them to do, Instagram posts, stuff on our website. So kind of a little more incentive, but it also helps our marketing person have content to post year round. So I thought that was going to be a really good win-win for everybody. And then we increased our total number of advertisers, and we increased that profit by 36% this year. So.
Have you done a comparison between what we're charging for ads and other counties within the region and what they're charging for ad space? And can we bump it more than 10% if we haven't,
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that we would love to do. We just didn't want to. We did not raise it for historic sites because they're our partners, but for everybody else we did that.
Oh, yeah.
But we didn't want it to be such like a culture shock, like, oh my gosh, why is this ad so much more expensive? We wanted it to still be somewhat where it was, but I'm not opposed to increasing that price at all.
Yeah, if it hasn't been raised and our prices are lower than they should be,
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, and I would like the idea of offering, full page spreads and, back cover, things like that. But this year, we just, you know,
Yeah, are we also charging, so you're talking about, digital advertising, are you charging for like people that want to print like QR codes and connecting like their websites to your website and all of that? Like, what does that full marketing
so for the digital.
strategy look like?
For the digital ads. So that was just an added benefit that we wanted to add with that price increase, just because a lot of people would be, you know, like a little resistant because it has been the same price
Sure.
forever. So it's just mainly like they're getting little shout outs on our website and maybe like a blog post written about them. But it actually benefits us because there's a lot of times where our marketing manager might be like, I'm not really sure this time of year who I can write a blog about or what I can write a blog about.
Sure.
So it kind of helps him fill in gaps of where he might be struggling with content.
Mm-hmm. Once you've done like the comparison for like who's been like who are your long-term advertisers and what that fallout was because of that price increase, if there was any, can you just share that with us?
Yeah.
I'd be curious to see, was it, you know, did we get more people or like what does that look like? 'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, increase in ad sales is good, right? But we just want to get that price
Yeah.
as high as we can without scaring people away, but I'm curious to see what else.
There was not a lot of resistance at all. Nobody.
I would doubt it.
Yeah, with 10%, that wasn't much, but we didn't want it to do just like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But we did have a lot more advertisers this year, people who've never advertised this before. So, you know, and we're also, as we're developing new strategies to have more partners, this has been a really great tool for us to meet with people and get to know them and hear them. And it's putting us out there a little bit more, so.
Yeah, I think the other thing you might want to consider is when you're, like, for advertising, if you know somebody's new, like, don't be afraid to hit them with that higher price while you're working with your consistent people to slowly get them up to speed. That's totally fine.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So we talked about this in our last meeting, but we have been selected to host a songwriters competition, 2 of them. So it's Tennessee Songwriters Week, and we do that in partnership with the Tennessee Department of Tourist Development. And we've had a qualifying round for some years, and last year, for the first time, we were selected to have a showcase, and there's only 7 in the state of Tennessee, so to be selected for that is it's a huge honor. So those are going to be, the qualifying round is going to be Friday, February 3rd, and the showcase will be on Friday, February 23rd. I wanted to let you all know that if you would like tickets or if you would like to attend, please let me know, and we'd be more than happy to have you guys. It's going to be great. It's probably one of my favorite events that we have, and it's February 2nd, sorry. I keep doing that. You know, historically, we've always had it on Saturday, but unfortunately with schedules and who was booked and all that, it just didn't work out, so we had to do it on Friday. But my brain keeps saying that the Saturday date, it'll be on Friday, February 2nd, and that one will be at the Palace, and the showcase will be at the Temple Theater. Oh, and then also to mention, we have partnered with 2 local businesses and with Visit Franklin, and we're doing a giveaway, and we're putting a big push behind that with Visit Franklin. So that's going to be a really big success for us. One person will win a night stay in Sumner County and a night stay in Franklin, so that they'll go to both showcase events. So it's kind of encouraging that weekend in Tennessee. And what we're doing and working on now is making itineraries for people who are coming to the events. So we're kind of doing that push of like spending more time other than just going to the show. Because because the show's in Portland, there's so many great things to do, you know, with 5 chefs and, you know, shopping. I think that it could be a big attraction to get people to go to the show if they know that there's other things that they can do other than just watch a show. So, all right. Now on to occupancy tax. So this is kind of where I was talking about earlier. We're $22,000 ahead, but after we received the last report how low it was and how much it had decreased, we emailed back and just asked about it. And there are 2 hotels who have not paid their taxes since August. So that they will pay them, and then that month, whatever month that they pay it will seem like a crazy surplus, but there are 2 hotels who have not paid. and I think that defaults to a higher power than me. I don't think I could come to people over tax collections, but, hopefully somebody comes out for them soon. And then the Holiday Inn Express, you know, they were a victim of that hotel, of the tornado, and so they have decided to remodel, and they will be closed for approximately 8 months. So that puts us short 93. Yeah, that puts us down 93 hotel rooms, and the Hyatt place has been remodeling, and they have, I think, 75 out of 98. But they say that they should be done at the end of January, but we all know how that goes. We also just had snow, so I'm sure that put a delay in that as well. But we're just awaiting their reopening, but we might see a shift there. And another thing about the Holiday Inn Express is it was sold. I believe that TVN owns it now, so which may end up being a really good thing. I hope so. You know, that's our biggest hotel for people who go to Huckabee, so you know that's going to be a big attraction. Hopefully, you know, they play on that a little bit. So, but it did want y'all to know that it had been sold and they are remodeling.
Speaking of that, have you ever contacted Springhaven Mansion?
Mm-hmm.
So, because I know they book a lot of their weddings through that Holiday Inn too.
Yeah.
Out of towners.
Probably so. We've worked with her several times, Tammy. Yeah. But she hasn't reached out to us about it, but, it's unfortunate. It really, I mean, it really puts that's one of our biggest group hotels. Luckily, the Hampton Inn in Gallatin and Hendersonville have really stepped up, like, we're willing to accept your group, so, you know, we're doing all right. Okay. All right, for the Irish Festival, so for our last meeting, I took some notes back, and so we've decided to increase our ticket price, and we reduced the festival time by an hour, because that reduces a whole hour of entertainment that you have to pay, and that could be anywhere from $3,000 to $1,000. You know, that really just kind of varies on what the talent is.
And what were the ticket prices?
They were $10 a car, and now they're $15. So, like, there again, I didn't want to do something too big of an increase, but I'm more than willing in the coming years to keep bumping
That's
that.
for a minivan and a boarded excursion.
Yeah.
Suburban.
Yeah.
Thing.
Right.
Regardless.
Like the old private movie.
I was gonna say.
Bit of people in the
maybe
cars
you got
again.
in the trunk. Yeah. Not gonna have it.
And then we did
What is
create an
it?
Eventbrite where they can buy tickets ahead of time. There's a small discount there, but like $2.50, I think. I think it's $12.
So outside of like parking, what other revenue comes from the Irish Festival? Like, are we charging booth space? Like, what does that look like?
So, I know that the event was created because there was not an event held in that area at that time. And so, when it first started, we did not charge people to be vendors. We made them pay $50 and then they got the $50 back to show up. Now, there's so much demand to be at the event that I think that we should charge. However, I have already talked to people at the Middle Tennessee Highland Games, and I told them that was the policy, so I wasn't going to do that because that would have been dishonest of me. And so, in the coming years, I'm definitely wanting to charge a vendor fee because they do sell out, they do really well, and I don't think it would hurt them to pay $100, $150 or more. But in this year, since I had already talked to people and told people, and that's kind of how it's been, I didn't want to just be dishonest and, you know.
Right. Well, so I guess are vendors collecting Sumner County tax when they're selling in Sumner County?
Should be split sales tax, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Reporting.
Like, can we see like how much tax revenue is coming from the Irish Festival?
So we could have a report done, with, you know, there's so many companies who do it, and we can see in that area how much money was spent and all of that, and I'd be happy to have that done.
Okay, yeah.
That's something that I really want to know myself, and so,
Well,
it's just research can be expensive, but you know, but I want it.
yeah, I agree. I think, well, it can be expensive, but like if we can't determine the value of something,
Right.
right? All of the whole point of it is to bring tax revenue to Sumner County, right?
Yeah.
So if we can't demonstrate value, like, yay, we're doing an Irish festival, but if it's not benefiting anybody, except for the people that are coming and leaving, then why are we hosting it? We want to make sure, I mean, yeah, it's great to do community events, but we should also be driving revenue because that revenue benefits taxpayers. So it would be good to see what we're actually getting, and honestly, we should be looking like a 3-year look back to see, are we even seeing an increase in that as well?
And that's another thing that we're doing with that is we're also pushing itineraries to get people to, you know, promoting hotels, supplying other things to do in the county. And we've kind of increased our outreach to, you know, where we, you know, the state provides where people are coming from, so we've kind of targeted those audiences as well with our ads. Sure. But I definitely am with you on that. I think however we can increase profit. I know a lot of people enjoy this festival, and it means a lot to a lot of people because it is a small community of, you know, Irish folks.
I'm Irish, I know. I'm totally fine with
well,
it. I'm not saying we shouldn't get rid of it. I'm just saying, like, taxpayers care about what we do.
Well, but I would also love to explore the options of adding sponsors and having local community sponsors. That would need to start, like, immediately after the year and then after the festival for that next year. But we're going to need that data to back up why people would even need to be a sponsor.
Yes, I agree.
And so that's, you know, most of my problems were down to not having the money or that, you know, the research.
So when you think about the staff you have, like, who's like your data analytics person?
So that would be myself and our marketing manager.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and there's a lot of great tools. You know, we've talked to community partners about, like, coming in together because there's a lot of great tools that you can use for research. It's just very expensive, but you could split it up between all your partners and, you know, chambers of commerce, economic development, anything like that, just so you have access to that data. And, you know, I think that is something that we really need.
Are any of those partners, like, looking at that data already?
Not that I'm aware of, but most of the time they have contracts where they're not allowed to share that information.
Okay.
So, because they want the most money out of everybody that they can get. That's just typically how that goes, unfortunately. But I would love to have more research and to understand why things need to make sense.
I'd be curious to see what data you have access to at least.
Not much.
Sorry to go into it, but I mean, I have a master's degree in strategy, and data will kill you or it will help you thrive.
Right.
And the more data we can get, and even if you, like, I can teach somebody how to do data analytics if you have access to the data. You just need, I don't know.
The tools and the, you
Well,
know.
In my career, like, if you can't demonstrate value, nobody's going to give you money.
Right.
And we have to demonstrate to our taxpayers that the tourism board is driving value, and you can't do that unless you have access to data. And some of this should be reasonably easy to get.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that I'm very interested in having, because a lot of the times I'm like, why am I, you know, if somebody asks me for a sponsorship, I'm like, does that even make sense? And I'm plagued with this question of what should they get, but they've always gotten this, but why are we giving that? And that's something I'm plagued with almost every day of my life. And so having the tools to be able to do that research would be the most amazing thing. I like numbers. I like when things make sense with numbers. So I'm totally with you there.
One of the things about this Irish Fest is that it takes place at Bledsoe Ford Park, which is a county park. It's a great benefit to the community. We do it in partnership with the Bledsoe Historical Association, and I believe that we split the proceeds from the parking. Is that what it is? The entrance fee with them. So it's also a fundraiser, for them, and they provide a lot of volunteers to it. So there's more than us involved. There is also
Sure. Yeah. I'm not saying there's no value in the Irish festival. All I'm saying is, like, we need to demonstrate the value, because once you can demonstrate that value, you can promote it. say,
Absolutely.
look, this is why you should come to the Irish Festival, this is why you should have a booth at the Irish Festival.
In 2020, it was the last event.
Yes, it was.
It was the last event of the year. It was literally the last event of the year. And I mean, I was there, and my lunch, ended up being a ice cream sundae, because that was all that was left by the time I got in line to get one.
I will say this festival started almost as an experiment. We needed something to draw awareness to that site. Our historic sites have great value. It's not always in money, but in education and awareness. And it did so well that we extended the hours, and we kept kind of extending it and building on it a little bit every year. And I can tell, I don't get too much out of the Rogan Cottage because we're just lambasted with visitors in there, so I'm there from beginning to end. And the people who were coming through, it was just awesome to hear their stories that they had no idea it existed. Some of them had not even been to Sumner County that came because of that, and they were discovering the historic sites. They were discovering Wynwood, they were discovering Cragplant while they were in the area, and other things going on. So as a member of BLHA, I can speak to our great appreciation for this festival for sure. To lots of people.
Yeah, I agree. I think that makes a lot of sense. And could we support more festivals? Would people want to come? We don't know, because we can't tell them why they should.
Right.
That's the point.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm definitely with you. I like having proof, proof that things are working, or proof of why we should do something. I like having that. So, yeah.
On your pre-sale tickets, we had talked about that. Perhaps that would be a way to track who's buying tickets somewhere and what part of the country. Will that also help you with your data analytics to see what exactly, because you weren't doing that before, and so now you'll have a better idea. You can run a report by state or cities or whatever.
Yeah, it'll depend on how many people do buy their tickets online, because some people will still want to buy them at the gate. But I do know that there are companies that can literally map out the park and tell you how many people are in the park, how much money they spent on that park. Big Brother's watching, I guess, but it's to a little bit above it. But
Yeah, we have that access now that kind of taps into people's cell phones and
so that was
gauges if
arrivalist.
they're in an area.
That was arrivalist, and that was with the state department, and they actually, I think that their research person who was in charge of that left and went to like Yale or something. So, that's kind of been put on hold, and they can do a little bit of something, and I'll have to look into that, but for the most part, it's gotta be a ticketed event, and it has to be purchased beforehand. I would definitely be interested in, continue
So
with
you're telling me if I go to your festival and I have my cell phone on me, you're gonna be able to track me at the festival?
It was a system that they had, that they knew how many hours you spent in Sumner County and where you went. It's a little freaky, but they were doing it.
It's very freaky.
I only tracked after like 6 or 7 hours.
Yeah, you had to be a certain period of time. You couldn't just run in and out.
You can do specific, different companies do different certain periods of time, because I've seen some people do 30 minutes, I've seen some do an hour, I've seen some do 6 hours, I've seen all kinds of different minutes. And we don't see anything about anyone personally. I mean, it's a number, it's, I don't see.
The problem is you're in my phone.
Well, that's up to you to turn that off on your phone.
The company is in your phone, and the state's contract with the company.
Yeah, and they can tell you where you came from, and then when you left the event, where you're going, or where you went to. So if you were at Kroger's, and then you went to the Irish Festival, and then you went home, or you went to Walmart, they can dig that deep, which is valuable information for Zoe, because that shows that they left the Irish Festival and then they went and spent money at this place, or they went and filled up their gas tank, so.
Or stayed in a hotel.
Correct,
Yeah.
Do you use that at your chamber?
We just have gotten access
Oh, you
to that.
Is that arrivalist? Same
It
thing?
is not Arrival.
A different company.
It is, yeah.
Did you do Placer?
We've got Placer AI.
So Placer, they base it off the population of your area, and so we were quoted I think $50,000 to have access to that, which is a pretty penny. But there are companies who do it cheaper. They just package they package it up beautifully for you, and they show you what magazines people read, and what books people read, and what news channels they watch, and, you know.
Oh, it's a beautiful.
It's a little
bit scary, but yeah, they can tell you everything you want to
It's a
know.
beautifully
It doesn't bother me at all. I work for a Fortune 15 company.
But I understand why they charge a lot of money for it, but,
Fine.
I mean, I would love if we had access to something like that.
But that's more information than you need. I mean, they
Not
provide a lot
necessarily.
more than you would.
I don't think
Because
necessarily.
you're doing all those things.
Yeah.
You're using Facebook and TV.
Oh, that's true.
Right, well,
Mhm.
with the Facebook ads, but with Facebook ads, I'm only allowed to see what people are doing on their phone. And if they're engaging with my content specifically. I can't see where they went, if they actually came to Sumner County. I can't see how that, I can see it maybe, the only data that necessarily I have of real data is the occupancy data.
But I meant the data that you would see from Placer, what they're watching on TV.
Right.
I mean, we're using those.
I mean, it would be advantageous to know if they came to a festival in Sumner County, did they stay at a hotel in Sumner County, or did they go outside of Sumner County?
Yeah.
Or if it was a local going.
Yeah, you
And
can,
then if you also know what they're watching on TV, then you have,
Now, I don't think that Placer has that ability.
Right.
I thought you said they
Well,
have that.
yeah,
Well,
but you said something that I
there's different packages
Like-
too.
Yeah, you said something that I like that doesn't necessarily need, like, doesn't have to do with tracking people. But, like, if we're saying, hey, we're going to offer online for pre-sale, what if we're, like, what about putting bundles together? Where you're partnering with the hotels and say, look, we're going to sell, like, a hotel, like a discounted hotel rate and tickets to the thing. Like, what are some things that we can do there
So
where
that-
we can...
Right. So that just gets complicated because you have to fill in contracts with hotels and you have to meet that requirement. So if we did not meet that requirement, I'm not sure what the,
We have to pay for the hotel room.
yeah, you have to pay for the hotel room.
If they're holding it.
And so that could end up being a
Yeah.
big loss for us as well.
Could you do, since this year is the first year you're doing online ticket sales, could you put in a little survey in there, would you be interested in package deals next year?
Yeah, and so that's kind of the point of having the online tickets is we're able to have their email and we can plug that in the email list and do a post-event survey of where did you come from? Did you enjoy the event?
Right, but you could do something that doesn't cost any money, like put links to Sumner County hotels
Yeah.
in there, like that you just purchased it here, hotels in this area.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you can track to see, are they like,
Yeah,
The
so,
hotel might offer a discount, they might do that on that particular link. It's not necessarily holding a room, but
and it just depends on what they have going on too, because it's all about supply and demand, and,
Yeah.
you know, there could be something here that we don't know about, but, you know, but I do like the idea of that, it just could get a little complicated, but I'm not opposed to exploring that at all.
What are the dates for the festival? Is it March 9th?
Yes.
I know I've seen it on Facebook 100 times.
what? You're such a
Feels like
reduced
100 times, might have only been 7.
Yeah. Gallatin Chamber has their Shamrock on the same day, Jen.
And we put flyers in their goodie bags as well to get people who participated in the Shamrock Run to come to the Irish Festival after.
Oh, Shamrock Run.
Yes.
Oh, I thought you said Shamrock One.
Shamrock Run.
Right.
It's the ones they do.
Yeah, and then that last bullet point, reduced amount of unnecessary paid vendors and activities, so that's not really a huge deal, but there were a couple of vendors and people who Barry had brought into the event that I don't think were necessarily all that necessary. We had a storyteller, and we had paid way too much money for her, and
I
that,
heard a lot of, well, it wasn't her, it was a guy that was a storyteller that I heard a lot of good stuff about.
it was not, it's not the girl that's
He's
been
not
there.
available anymore.
Yeah.
Oh,
The girl who's come the last 2 years, you know, I've been at the Irish Festival the last 2 years, and I was like, oh, this is no. And that was the first immediate thing for me to go. We were paying for a hotel and travel expenses. She is out, unfortunately.
well, how many paid vendors do we have?
It's just the, entertainment for the stages. So, I don't have it right now. So, I can answer that for you in just one second. And then another person that we had dropped was, we typically have a balloon artist, a face painter for kids, and we're having character visits for you, bring in characters. So we dropped the character visits because, yeah, it's nice to get a picture with, you know, your favorite princess or whatever, but I just didn't think with the other two kids' activities that was really necessary. And we also have a kids' cabin where typically we're just printing something at the office, like an activity, you know, just color this or go on a little scavenger hunt, and that costs us, I mean, probably a couple dollars. So, you know, that, to me, dropping that little kids' activity is not a bad idea. And then as far as paid vendors, so, I mean, obviously we have to pay for the stages, and then we do porta potties, which we are going to decrease the number of porta potties because most people use the bathrooms at Bledsoe, and they clean them up, and they're very nice. So I think we'll have a little bit less, but we do have to have an ADA porta potty. That is a requirement. So we do have to have some porta potties, but we will not have as many. But I would say performers, I would say 10 total.
Do you have an idea what your initial cost would be going into it?
I could start putting those numbers together and share that with you all. I'm hoping that we're going to come under what we came under last year. That's kind of the, you know, we were
Kind of what you're budgeting for and then what you actually cost you?
Yeah, absolutely. I can give y'all like kind of where we're at on that already.
Our agreement with the vendors or the paid entertainers if the weather is bad.
They
cancel.
So we do have a rain date. So the festival, if it rains on Saturdays, we have to have that festival the next day. So they know that they have to be available on the 10th as well. So, yeah. Any other questions? Right. And then as far as advertising that we have coming up, we are running our commercials on YouTube and Connected TV. Connected TV, we talked about this in our last meeting, but not everybody was here. That's going to be more like your streaming services, so things like that. Most people are switching to that anyways, and then that'll show on YouTube TV, YouTube, you know, I think everybody in this world watches YouTube at some capacity. So, yep, that's what we're doing with that. And then we're also running ads on Google. And then we will be running print and digital ads with the Southern Food and Travel Company in the next several months. And unfortunately, Sue Morrison has resigned, and her last day was a few weeks ago. She was done after like the first week of January. So we do have a position open. I personally do not think that we need a full-time person. I think it's tricky because sometimes it's like we have 5 full-time people in the office and it feels like too much, and then there's some days that we're really missing a body there. So I was thinking hiring a part-time person, maybe 2 to 3 days a week. You know, obviously with a part-time person, you're going to be able to pay them probably a little bit less than what you would normally a full-time person. And I was thinking about looking at, you know, Vol State, their students, you know, people who are eager to please and want to learn. I think that could be a great asset.
MTSU has a tourism
That's the program.
degree.
Yeah, that's where I graduated with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that because my daughter's in that program, but like,
Okay.
have you thought about just doing an intern, like talking to them about doing an internship? Because that's going to be significantly less money. You're not going to have to pay benefits. And then, you know, if you just, I don't know. I would recommend looking at.
Yeah, tourism programs, yeah.
Yeah.
So, the THM program at MTSU, that's where I graduated from with my degree in that. So I'm still in like the alumni group, and so whenever we do have job openings, I always post them in that group just to say that we're hiring. But that was somewhere I was going to go to one of my professors and just send that email to her, and she usually shares it with all her students. That's probably going to be a little bit tricky because those kids are in Murfreesboro. You know, that's an hour away, but you know.
Kelly, are you still off on Fridays?
Yes.
So what did Sue do there?
So
I know I remember coming to talk to her, but I don't remember what she.
So Sue does a lot of, you know, answering the door, answering the phone when people, you know, taking
Receptionist type work?
receptionist
Secretary
type
work?
Yeah, and then she was also led the charge on our ambassador program, and our ambassador program is where we go and we educate, you know, our hotel partners and realtors and just anybody and everybody who wants to learn about what there is to do in Sumner County. So she kind of led the charge on that as well. But she was also just kind of there to help out with everything that we needed help for. But that's why I don't think that a full-time person is always necessary, because sometimes we feel staff heavy, but then sometimes we need that extra body, you know, when we're having an event or something, or, you know, there's a lot going on. We feel the weight of that. We felt that with ABA last week with all of the group tour operators. We felt that a little bit. So having somebody to be around whenever we have things like that would be great.
I was gonna say, could you have the flexibility to have them there more
Yeah.
if you have to ramp up at certain times or events?
Yeah, and that's why I think a student would be great, because a lot of the time they're going to be eager to please and want to learn the
Who's
business.
gonna train them though? That's gonna take away from somebody else.
It would probably just be kind of a group effort, you know, whenever you.
I'm just saying, because if it's part-time and you guys are busy and they're trying to learn, won't that take away from your productivity time?
Not so much. I mean, we would, you know, that happens all the time. Somebody could leave tomorrow and we're all gonna have to
Right.
train somebody. So, I mean, there's gonna be things that they could partner with the sales manager, and the sales manager could train them.
One of my questions would be, why not hire someone part-time and then get somebody to come in under an internship program under those people? Instead of, because you don't have to pay internships. I didn't.
It's very hard to offer unpaid internships in the economy that we live in right now.
Yeah, the probability of somebody taking an unpaid internship over a paid one is pretty low.
Yeah.
That's worth your investment.
Yeah, I think the days of unpaid internships are
Unless.
almost gone.
Yeah, I would agree there too. We could probably pay them, you know, probably half of what Sue made in that position, so,
And not have the additional cost of benefits.
yeah, no benefits,
But
no
when
holidays.
they're done with school though, and they're done with that internship, then what?
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
it's just a constant training thing.
But that's okay.
yeah.
Is
no,
it-
Okay, I'm just asking.
Yeah, I think that's fine, because basically all you do is just look at what is the job, what absolutely needs to be redistributed.
Yeah.
Sorry, I manage 4,000 people, so I mean, this isn't a major issue, right?
Yeah.
You just look at what can you do to change that job
Yeah,
into something that it's okay for somebody to rotate in and out of,
yeah,
and you're good to
absolutely.
go.
Well, if they're in that program, they already have some exposure to what
Right.
you're doing,
Skills.
yeah.
And that's why I wasn't so fast to replace Sue, because I wanted to kind of feel where are we missing, where are we lacking, what could we use help with?
Right.
And data, you know, plugging in data and managing our databases is kind of the main thing that we need, managing MailChimp. You could figure, that could take an hour and you would have that figured out.
And honestly, if you're finding any student that needs an internship and one of your requirements is they have data analytics skills, you're gonna just get somebody that can do that for you
Yeah, absolutely.
very inexpensively.
Absolutely. And so as far as training goes, I think that could be something that was, you know, minimal time. Yeah,
No, the volunteer state does have it's not work-based learning, but essentially that's what it is. Jeff Cockrell runs that. You have to fill out an MOU with the job description, what you're gonna pay, and then they'll put you with a program at Ball State that matches what you're looking for. So he's definitely somebody that you want to talk to, and then that's a student that's local. And then you have the potential, if they work out really well, of adding them on permanently.
Right, yeah, no, that
And
would
if
be.
you had that intern that came, and if they just came every Friday, would that help you?
We specifically need someone probably who works a little bit longer, just in case there's a Saturday where we're having an event or something and we need help. Like, to pay somebody one day a week, that's not much of a benefit for them, that they would be
But I mean
available for us.
specifically for Fridays. Like, could you put them specifically in there on Fridays, and then they would have another 2 days?
Yeah,
Yeah.
usually, I know with part-time people in the past, it was like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or it was Tuesday, Thursday kind of thing. I would prefer to have somebody 3 days a week, just because, you know, when someone comes in, it doesn't take time out of your day when somebody comes in
I was
and wants a
thinking
tour of the
school
house.
schedule.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, and this would also be a really great job for someone who has kids in school and things like that. You know, there's a lot of flexibility within a part-time role in our office.
Yeah, I agree with that, especially if the hours are relatively flexible.
Yeah, agreed. And weekend availability every once in a while.
Yeah, you're just tapping into a different labor market pool than you are with full-time.
Yeah, exactly. All right, and over the last few months, so I've been kind of doing a lot of research on other CVBs and DMOs' strategic plans that they have done. A lot of them have them online, which is amazing. And I've talked to some of my, colleagues that I've met throughout my time here. And And so I'm working to put that together on, you know, what other places are doing, and because not every shoe fits every destination. And so kind of playing on what other people are doing and kind of taking those ideas and seeing how we can fit some of those things into our organization. But to be honest with you, I think our number one thing that we're going to need is research. I think that is something that is a huge need for us in this time of trying to figure out where people are coming from, why they're coming, and that research is really going to help us with sponsorship. So that goes back to the sponsorship things is, you know, that was something I was wanting to talk to you all about and kind of get feedback there, because there's a lot of time where someone reaches out to me for a tournament or an event, and maybe it's a new event, and I have nothing to go off of, and it's tricky, you know, it gets really tricky. Then I could have had a huge missed opportunity of an event that was super successful that I wasn't a part of, or it completely flopped. And I'm finding the trouble of right now is, you know, we've had tournaments or events in the past that we've given them the same amount of money, and in my brain I can't justify it. But you also can't burn the bridges with everybody. So I'm finding it very difficult. I'm having a difficult time navigating that without research, if that makes sense. And so suggestions and, you know, anything that we can help with that would be really beneficial to me.
I don't want to sound stupid, but I do not know what a DMO and a CVV is.
So we are a DMO. We are a Destination Marketing Organization.
Okay.
And a CVV is a Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Okay.
So it's destinations like ours.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Thank you.
Nashville has a CVV.
Mm-hmm. We used to be a CVV. I'm not sure why we were CVV because we don't have facilities for conventions. But we are now a DMO. It's either destination marketing or destination management. I learned it as marketing, so I mean it kind of goes either way.
Okay.
And as far as our strategic plan for the future goes, you know, we can have very tentative plans and things like that, but the marketing world is ever changing. It changes probably every day. But back to the sponsorships, any help that I could get there would be.
Could you ask, I don't know what your sponsorship was, like if you have a reporting form for them, but if they could show you their P&L for the event, and if they can give you any data that they're collecting.
Right.
You know, because I know a lot of people will track license plates and things like that, because ultimately what your goal is to bring people outside of Sumner County into Sumner County.
Right, and that we asked for the event budget, we asked for if they have hotel room blocks, we asked for this, we asked for that. I mean, we asked for all of those things, but it's still hard to navigate, you know, because I have a festival who tells me that they have people from 26 states coming, and then I had a report done on it, and only I think it was less than 10% had come from over 50 miles away. And are they spending the night? Probably not.
Right.
But yet we're giving this festival, and historically we've given them $10,000, and I'm like, I can't do that. Like I can't justify that. And so, it's hard when it's me that has to make that decision, and I'm the one that has to continue to have that relationship. Does that make sense? Like the decision is solely on me, and yet I have to keep this relationship with this person. But if I cut that event sponsorship in half, that relationship is probably done.
Would you feel better having parameters from the board so that you could blame it on us?
Or put together maybe like a subcommittee of, you know, that where we meet every once in a while and come and say, this is the sponsorship applications, and review them together. And maybe once we are able to have more data, really look into that as well. Because having the decision be based 100% on me just makes my partnerships with people, it makes it harder.
Well, I think right now it's super subjective
Mm-hmm.
because you don't have,
Right.
you have nothing to
Yeah.
go on other than a handshake from before or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
And goodwill.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
that's
You know, I hope
really
that
difficult.
I hope this works, and it backs me in a corner, and not being able to have that research either. Because if I had the research, I could look at somebody and say, you know what, I'm not giving you that much money because look at this.
Right.
You know.
Well, I also think it comes down to having a solid strategy for why does the tourism board exist? What do we want to accomplish, and how is this event going to help make that happen.
Right.
First of all, so then once you have that in place, then you can analyze everything objectively and say, well, this isn't really something that's going to benefit this. And when you look at like, okay, well, if our goal is to increase, okay, so occupancy tax, right, right here, right. So one of the things I wrote down, we kind of skipped past it, is like, how are we correlating board activities to occupancy tax increases? Like, did we do anything to increase this, or did they just increase?
Right.
I don't know, right? If we didn't do anything to influence this, then, well, why are we even talking about it, right?
Right.
Like, shame on us. We got to figure out what are we going to do to drive that increase, right?
That's a great point, because a percentage increase, you don't know if it's percentage increases because the rate is up, or if the hotel room rate, the cost to rent a room is up.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And so those are things we need to understand, right? You can look 2018, 19, 951, then it drops in 2019 and 20, and 20 and 21. We all know why, because people stopped traveling for work.
Right. And we've also got new hotels within there as well.
And then, right, exactly. And so is it new hotels? Is it rate increases? Or, so that's where we need to look at month over month and say, okay, did we have an event here in Sumner County, and did that event drive people to stay in Sumner County, or people just staying at hotels in Sumner County because it's cheaper than staying in Nashville?
Right.
Or are they staying here because there's a Taylor Swift concert and literally everything is booked, so people are staying in Red Boiling Springs?
Right. And so if we're able to have data pass people's phones and actually track their activity and say, okay, they saw that ad, and then what did they do? What was the action after that? Did they just click off of it and we had an impression and that got us nowhere, or did they come here?
It sounds like you were asking for us to find data.
Oh, no.
No?
No, I think I need to explore, I need to explore our options and.
Well, I don't think it's not a dream. I think what we need to do is say, here's our total budget. Yeah, here's our total budget. What can we, change in our budget so we can afford to get the analytics we need so that we can increase revenue? I think that's the conversation we need to have.
Without you spinning your wheels and wondering.
Yeah.
But a lot of the, like the occupancy tax info, that should be available already. They have to pay, the hotels have to pay the county tax.
Right.
There should be a lot of data on how many rooms were rented, what those rental fees were, if you want to call it rental.
Yeah, so
All of that should be out there.
STR offers us that data, and I've been curious about if we still, that data is very hard to read. I need to go, if we're going to renew our membership with them, I need to go in there and have a training, because they offer trainings to really walk you through how it is
Do
organized.
we currently have a membership with them?
I have not renewed, because I've just been,
How much is the?
it's pretty expensive.
We did get a discounted rate, it was about $3,000,
$3,000 a year.
that was discounted, so.
Yeah, but if 3,000 is worth it, if you can actually get information, plus, like, why isn't the Sumner County clerk giving us stuff?
Exactly.
That's what I want to know. This is freaking tax data.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Well, probably all they get is the amount that's sent in. They don't get the number of rooms, that kind of thing.
Well, yeah, I agree with
They
that.
just get dollar amounts.
How's it audited?
That's not.
Yeah, they're getting, I mean, they know what business collected the tax, right? They know the date that the tax was collected. They know all of those things, so why in the world can't we get a detailed tax report? We're part of Sumner County. This is Sumner County tax.
I mean, that's going to have to be a question for the clerk's office.
We shouldn't have to pay anything for that.
The only occupancy tax information that I'm given is this per month.
Yeah, this
That's
is
all
like
I get.
almost useless, but not quite.
I mean,
It's helpful to see, but
and
like, it's not telling you anything.
Data point that if you can't correlate the number of rooms, how much people are paying on average, how much that's changed month on month, year on year,
And
is
you-
meaningless.
right, and you can get that through STR. However, I have not been trained on that, so I didn't want to just pay it to have it and to just look at. And
Sure.
so I didn't want to renew that until I was able to get in there and get trained on what all the data means.
But again, this would be something that the county clerk should have.
That's not up to me, so.
Yeah, so who can get us that? That's the question.
I should think, as the director of the business department, you should be able to have that conversation with.
I'd be absolutely more than happy to ask.
I would highly recommend, I will make a motion.
I'd be happy to.
Carolyn Templeton.
Yeah.
To begin searching into that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll second that.
Yeah, and we're,
All in favor?
Okay, we got a motion,
Yeah.
and a second, for her to, contact the county clerk's office and try to get more detailed information.
yeah, I'd be more than happy to. And once I can, I've been with the SDR, I've just been curious, wondering, I just didn't want to, that's a lot of money to spend on data that we haven't utilized in the past. So for me, it was like, if I'm not understanding the data, I'm not buying it.
Is the training free?
I would assume if their salespeople will give you.
And is
Do we
it
have
3,000?
historical data from when we were paying for it?
From SDR? Yeah. Yeah.
I remember years ago, we used to get an STR report.
I have a report, yeah.
Years ago, we used to get an STR report, but it was nothing that was ever useful for us.
But is there a budget line item for that?
For SDR?
SDR?
It should still, it should be in the budget for that.
It was no more beneficial than this piece of paper, right?
It was just numbers, it didn't mean much.
And that's why I need to really sit down with their salesperson, because they call me and just say, hey, do you want to renew?
But you have copies of the past.
I have one copy, but I'm sure if I can get on Barry's computer, I might be able to find more. I'm not sure.
But one copy would give somebody
Yeah.
in here the ability to look at it.
Yeah.
I would
You
ask
know,
you.
and though I'm sure they could structure reports different ways, and with all of the data that they're getting, and you might ask them, tell them what our needs are, what your needs are,
Right.
and ask, can they structure reports?
Right.
And if you want to pull me onto a conversation,
Yeah.
like, do it.
Yeah.
I'll ask a question,
Absolutely.
obviously.
Yeah,
Sorry,
no.
but-
Can we go back to your motion? I didn't get all of it, I'm sorry.
Oh, the motion was for Zoe to contact, Carolyn Templeton, county court clerk, and ask for that data.
Yeah,
Yes, that court clerk,
Yeah.
that would be
Yeah,
the
to
black-headed lady.
Yeah, to get detailed
Whose name I can't
occupancy
think of.
tax data. Yep.
Um,
Minimally month over month.
Yeah.
From the people who are collecting it.
Because I would be interested to see that, to see what
Number of
hotel.
rooms, the average rate.
See, and that's what STR provides for us, but that's an expense to, that's at our expense, so.
Let's go ahead and vote on that.
Well, if it's already budgeted, then we shouldn't have to even vote on it. should we?
Well, I haven't renewed our contract with them just because but I can. I
But
mean,
when was the renewal?
it was a few months ago.
So it's in that
So it might have been in the
budget.
budget.
It is in the budget for sure, but to have data just to look at it and not understand it, I just didn't want to pay for it if I didn't.
Mhm.
Well, the motion on the floor
So I think
is,
Yeah, let's go ahead and vote on the motion on the floor, unless there's any more discussion on that, and then we'll move on back on.
Okay.
So,
Yes.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
But anyway,
So STR data, if you can get me historical data, I can look at it.
Okay.
And then see what it's saying, and then I can probably determine whether it's worth $3,000 or not.
okay,
And then from there, we can make a plan, yes, we want to do it. Or I am happy to get on a call with the sales representative and say, can you please just prove to me why I care about your product and what it's going to give me?
I would appreciate that
Okay.
more than because that's, it's something that we've always done, but I know historically that we haven't spent a lot of time actually analyzing it, and so for me, I just didn't want to pay that subscription to just stare at it.
Yep.
So having the tools and the resources to actually use that data would be super beneficial.
And while we're on this topic, and you said that you would like for us to help you go through some of the sponsorships, I was wondering, since we have a basically new board, if we could put the idea out that we would meet once a month for the rest of this year, rather than every other month. And I know not everybody would be able to, as long as we have quorum, but then we wouldn't have to schedule special meetings for sponsorships either. But we have to vote on that anyway. That just was my idea. So we would have one a month instead of 6 this year.
More like working sessions.
Yes,
And then not like a quarterly report out, that would be different. That way, if there's any help you need,
yeah, so we have our regular meetings and then the opposite.
Yeah.
So in
Kind of like a working meeting and then a regular board meeting.
a work study.
Right.
Work studies.
Right.
mhm.
We would just need to make sure that there was flexibility in there in case there's an
Tornado.
event,
Flood.
or we're at a conference, or we're, there's gonna be times like that we're busy, so would we wanna set that like second, I'm just giving out examples, second Monday of the month, there's gonna need to be flexibility in there just in case that there's something comes up.
Yeah, I would just say maybe just propose a few dates, like, and then.
Right now, we're meeting, what, third Thursday? Is that what it is, or fourth? Tuesday, whatever it is.
I'm not
Of a
really
few
sure.
dates that would work,
Okay.
and then we'll work.
If I send them out for like the next 6 months, would that be okay, just to?
Well, we have, for the rest of the year in the alternate month,
Okay.
yeah. Just because you,
Because you have the quarterlies on there, it's just filling in the blanks.
Yes.
And then I guess the next question is, what would, how many people would we need for a quorum for those work sessions? Would it need to be the same numbers as quarterly?
be fine.
If we're voting on things, yeah, we would have to have a quorum. If we're not voting on things, we're just discussing things, a quorum's not necessary.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess you're right, because we won't be voting on your sponsorship. But we do need to work on setting parameters.
Well, and most of our sponsorships now are fishing tournaments or
Festival.
softball
Yeah.
tournaments and things like that, right?
Right, but as a lot of new things come in, it gets hard whenever, it almost becomes personal, and that's really hard with relationship building, it's hard, so.
I mean, I think it's necessary because we want to make sure that we're helping you to pick the right sponsorships.
And I could really use that help, because a lot of the time it just becomes really difficult to make those decisions.
But, and if for this year, if you say, well, I have a board meeting once a month,
Yeah.
then we'll take it to the board and we'll have a discussion. Then you don't have to make a commitment right away.
Right.
It's like, oh, I'm not sure,
Right,
then.
yeah, no, that would really help me.
Well, is there an option for you to have a funding period, like sponsorship applications are open from January through March, and then at the March meeting, they're presented here, and you can allow the board to even vote on them, once you've got those parameters in place?
That just becomes hard, because I'll get a call from a random fishing tournament who's like, I'm got a fishing tournament in 2 weeks, and that becomes tricky. And it could be a super successful fishing tournament, and then we've turned them away because they've missed that period, so.
But if we have thresholds for like how much money requires a discussion with the board for approval and like what is like okay for you to make a decision, I don't think that's a problem. I think we can solve it. I think it's just setting clear expectations, right? So if somebody says, oh, I've got a fishing tournament in 2 weeks, I could really use $60,000, you're like,
Yeah, gotta take
yeah.
Yeah, no, but I totally agree that having, just discussions about those kind of things would be really beneficial, just because, it's hard to make those decisions on your own without a whole lot of information to back it up, and we can work on creating a new sponsorship application of requirements and things that we need from them and what they have to provide. I've sat at my desk and drafted those things 1,000 times, but there's only so much that can go on in my brain at certain times, and so
Yeah, I
it's been
agree.
hard. But,
I also don't think I don't think we should be embarrassed to ask what is our expected return on investment? If we're gonna give you the sponsorship, how will that benefit Sumner County?
I don't usually talk. I'm not supposed to talk. We usually generally ask for an economic impact study on what the tournament is, but we have learned that they are generally inflated, and, we've been up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to the launch ramp to check out license plates and see if they tell us they have 200 anglers, if they have 200 anglers, and yeah, we try to get it, but it's not
And
very,
that's just like
not necessarily
a family
trustworthy.
reunion.
Yeah,
Right.
Just comes to a family reunion.
at Bull Creek Boat Ramp, yes.
And we are still carrying insurance on that.
Yes, we are.
County doesn't do that, we pay for it.
No, if we stopped doing that, they would tear it out.
who to tear it down?
The,
Corps of Engineers.
yeah,
It's owned by the Corps of Engineers, but we have to keep it up.
So is there a contract between the Corps of Engineers and the county that we do that? Well, there has to be something in writing.
I'm not 100% sure, I was not around whenever that.
It's just a permit, you have to have a permit with the Corps of Engineers.
It's actually just a letter of an understanding between the Army Corps of Engineers and Sumner County Tourism that we will be responsible for insuring the docks and for any repairs and maintenance.
Well, how much do people pay to get to use the dock? Oh, well, can't we change that?
Well, then, but then those.
We'd have to hire somebody to sit out there and collect money.
Yeah.
That would be something that the Army Corps would.
That's a lot of money.
Like the airboat ramp, there's no charge.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, if you put a little sign out there that says, oh, you wanna park here, scan here and put your license plate and pay your $2, it could at least cover the cost of it, even if not everybody's doing it.
But if it's owned by the Corps of Engineers, I don't think we can do that.
Yeah, I don't think that we would have the jurisdiction to do
Well,
that.
you are taking care of the boat dock though, right? So if you are in maintenance and care of the boat dock, which is, I know how much a boat dock costs, for me, was $35,000. So if you're in charge of maintaining and taking care of the boat docks and you're allowing people to use them, you have essentially a liability there. And, if I'm parking my boat at your boat dock, I should be able to charge you to do that.
I think
And
the
that's-
And all you're doing is covering the
probably
cost.
owns the
If I'm
land.
That's the way to break
mistaken-
even.
Lot.
If I'm not mistaken, the gentleman who runs Flippers owns the parking lot and the property that is there around the launch ramps. And specifically those, if we
I knew
did
that
not.
something was Flippers.
Right.
Yeah.
Flippers is no longer in business,
Right,
correct?
but he still owns the property.
Correct.
But if we said that we were not going to maintain, if we said we're not going to maintain those docks and the city and the county didn't step up, which they have not in the past, they will remove the docks immediately.
How much value is the Sumner County, how much value are we getting out of that, of paying for that boat dock? If the answer is nothing,
So there are,
We should-
there are a lot of fishing tournaments who do use that boat ramp and have historically always used it. And so I think it would probably prevent a lot of fishing tournaments from coming back here, because a lot of them like that access point. So it would have to just we'd probably need to survey fishing tournaments who have them there, would you be willing to relocate, how much?
how much does it cost to insure that boat dock?
Oh, and I'm back to insurance again. Same question, I wanna know insurance. And I can bring it.
Off the top of my head, I think it's $1,600 or $1,700 a year.
So you cover the insurance, the county
Yes.
does not.
County does not. And I'm not sure that's completely true. I mean, I think that's the number that's in my head, and I think
I
that's
just wanna
right,
make sure everything's
but-
insured.
but
That's
I'm not
Yeah.
sure that's the exact number.
Yeah, the tourism board pays the insurance, and didn't seem to me like it was much money.
No, we couldn't afford to do it if it was,
Who
$35,000.
pays for the repair?
Well,
We do.
we do, but there's a gentleman out there now, and he lives by the docks, and he owns a dock company. So unless it's something major, he's kind enough just to take care of it for us. Because he has the equipment and the materials. So unless it's something major, which we've not had in quite some
We had
time.
to do some major repair 6-7 years ago, something like that.
When you're managing anything, there's, always gonna be, but then it becomes something that's like, okay, this outweighs the benefit, then it's like, okay, well, then we let them take it,
What line item is that in? Is that in the administrative line item, or is that in the sponsorships line item
No, no,
for expenses?
yeah, it's not, I can't look at it right now. 100% sure, but it is not, sponsorship. I'm thinking for some reason that.
Probably to insure with all the other insurance. Maybe Mike.
I was just thinking this yesterday, but
But the thing about the dock, if I could clarify, maybe I'm not right, and I hope I'm not overstepping. The thing about the dock is that it's not just the fishing tournaments that we sponsor. So if somebody comes with a tournament and it has 50 boats or 25 our market to do something, you know, whatever it is they need, who are stopping at the Walmart to get their fishing supplies, who are stopping and eating at our restaurants. So it's not just.
Wives are coming and shopping.
Yeah. So I guess the real question is, like, what is the utilization?
So we actually have a Bull Creek boat ramp schedule that we maintain on our website, and a lot of those tournaments are not anything that we financially sponsor at all. A lot of the time, that schedule is full, and there's a lot of things going on, and those are like smaller tournaments, but they're not big enough for us to give them money, but they are significant.
But anybody can use it, not just
Yeah.
tournaments.
So our main objective is to put heads in beds. The people who even come for a day trip here are still spending their money
Yeah.
in our county, and the money they spend it, you know,
So how are
various
you
places.
how do you?
But we just don't know how many people per day
I mean,
are using
No,
it.
but we do have a total that we get from the state every year that tells us how much is spent.
Yeah, in the visitor spending for the year, we're able to see that.
Okay, got it.
That's pretty significant.
I mean, it's only $1,700, so it's not that much, but
No.
you can only $1,700 yourself to death. So.
Right. I would say for $1,700, I would say that there definitely is a return on investment, because there are fishing tournaments who do bring in big crowds, so I would
There's
say.
probably a tournament there every weekend.
Yeah, and so,
There's a ton of them.
exactly, and so I think that $1,700 is very minimal. I mean, if there were like, you're gonna have to spend $40,000 to maintain this, okay, maybe let's evaluate, but $1,700 is really not a lot on that part.
Okay, anything else under the director's reports? All right, let's move on to the meeting schedule.
Oh, wait,
Oh, sorry.
how did I forget the big thing? So,
Okay.
I have to finish on a bad note, I'm very sorry, but, yesterday, we worked from home last week because of the snow and the roads and all that. So, we went back to the office on Monday, and we had a pipe burst. So, it bursted, on like the second floor ceiling, and it was in the kitchen and in the basement. There's not much water left at all. It probably happened for 20 minutes before we were upstairs, and it was downstairs, and we didn't hear it, you know. So, but eventually we got it, turned off the water. So our office does not have water. So, I called the plumber. The plumber is coming out on Thursday. But that is going to be an upcoming issue.
So I
That's
read,
your insurance thing?
well, we should have insurance. I read
So we have liability insurance that covers us in case somebody falls and trips themselves, but we do not own that property, so we do not have property insurance. And
and I
Roger,
read the lease, and the lease says that the county is responsible for all the repairs of the Cummer house. And
so,
I know Barry had said last year that Rogers Group has always been very helpful in paying for large repairs.
right. So my first thing is I called the mayor, and the mayor is out of town, but he said when he gets back that he is wanting to have a meeting with the Rogers Group to see if we can come to some kind of agreement on that. But we are responsible for the maintenance of the building as the lease goes,
That's
but
bizarre.
We meaning the tourism
So
board,
the
or
county-
we meaning Sumner County?
the county leases from the Rogers Group, and then we sublease from the county. So we are a subleasee of the house. And we pay $100 a year in rent, so that's probably, I mean, if we're,
So then how much does the county pay?
nothing.
The county gets it for free, and the tourism board pays.
Well, the lease for the county is $100, so the county pays $100, but then we pay the county.
We pay it.
We pay it back. So
it's just $100.
So we just
pass it. Okay.
So like that
But
would,
I only saw $100 in that lease when I read it.
yeah, so why would they cover maintenance costs for $1,200 a year? I mean, they're not gonna do that.
$100 a year.
Oh, $100 a year.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm thinking $100 a month. No, it's $100 a year. Yeah, so for $100 a year, why would they pay the maintenance costs and things like that? So, you know, I know we have money in reserves. We've always been conservative to consider that something could happen to the house. But repairs to that house, you know, it kind of offsets the cost of what it would cost to rent a facility these days. So, the pipes will hopefully be fixed on Thursday, but this is not looking like it's gonna be a easy job, I'll just say that.
Well, it's hard to either.
Y'all didn't go in the basement, did you? Did Servco come out or somebody?
No, it wasn't enough water that it needed to be like, sucked up or.
So it hadn't been leaking for days, just when.
Probably 20, 30 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And then we heard it and we cut the water off as soon, I called Barry and Barry helped me turn the water off and the water's off. And cows have been down drying. We did turn the power off in the back of the house because it came through a light fixture, so we didn't want there to be any electrical issues to come in with that. But, with water, there's probably some things in the floor that are soaking up that water. I'm gonna try to get humidifiers going through there and heaters and things like that. But at this point, there's only so many things that can be done, unfortunately. But another thing, never mind. But that happened, it was unfortunate. We dripped the faucets, but sometimes those things happen in those cold temperatures, so.
Will county maintenance help?
So, the mayor sent county maintenance up there, but his suggestion was that you're gonna need to call a plumber and a contractor. That was the house is so old that it's gonna take somebody who knows how to navigate, or somebody that we worked for before, just because the pipes are old and, it's an old facility, so,
They're not cheap.
it just depends. And once the mayor talks to the Rogers Group, maybe we'll be able to come to some kind of agreement, that's not past us at all right now.
Since they own it and the county is leasing it, you're leasing it, you're like a sublease. So the Rogers owns it, so I would consider that they would have insurance on this house.
They are self-insured,
Okay.
and for $100 a year, there's not much incentive to spend a lot of money to repair things like that.
Yeah, they don't seem to care about that.
They've done a good job of keeping, whenever we've had issues with roof and things like that, they've done repairs, but I don't know. It's been for a while.
But, we just need the water to get back on, because I can't send people to work without a bathroom. So, once it happened, I sent everybody home, I said, take everything you need, they'll work from home, we have meetings, and we'll probably meet outside of the office to, just get together and talk, but, hopefully we can be back in Thursday, Friday. But, we'll just have to get people in there and get bids and see what it's gonna cost and what really the damage was, because I can't tell looking at it, that's not my area of expertise, so. But I did want you all to know that could be an upcoming issue or a large expense, so.
All right, let's, take a look at the meeting schedule. This is our regular, every 2-month meeting. We want to go ahead and adopt this, and then the other ones can be decided later.
Yeah, there's one that we need to pick on, and that's, Tuesday, March 19th. That is spring break, so I offered 2 other dates in there that could possibly work.
I like the March 26th. but
Yeah, usually they've done a week after.
Yeah, because we have our commission meeting the 4th Tuesday, 4th Monday in January, February, and March. So March 26th would be, is that okay with Dawn?
Yeah.
It might be warm that day.
Oh, that is.
Might be warmer
Yeah,
that day
that
than
is
it
Holy
is
Week.
Tuesday.
For those who, but Tuesday, there's not, I don't know, anybody in churches
Oh,
doing
yeah,
Tuesday.
because Ash Wednesday's the 27th and Monday, Thursday.
So that would be, Thursday would be Monday, Thursday, but yeah, Tuesday is not really anything on Holy Week, so.
What is that Wednesday before? I'm not Catholic.
It's the 14th, it's Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
That's Wednesday,
Wednesday's
Valentine's Day.
So, yeah, I think March, yeah, it's not a religious holiday, so we should be okay on the 26th.
I wanted to mention to you guys too, Cliff had this on the website, so Cliff heard from somebody else, but it's on the website at 5 instead of 4.
That's fine.
Oh, okay.
So, I saw that as well, but then whenever I saw the meeting, like, on the homepage, it said 4 o'clock on the homepage.
I went on the website.
Tourism board page.
I don't, we send them our thing every single time, and our meetings are always historically at 4 o'clock, so I don't know, I did see that on the meeting schedule, but on the actual,
That's also an awful, that's
yeah,
obviously.
but on the homepage with the, what is it called,
The front page, I
Yeah.
call it, yeah.
what do you, I'm like, what is that, the page?
It's the front page.
Yeah.
But it's like the,
If it were a
the notification of the
newspaper,
meeting
it
or
would be the
notice,
front
the
page.
public notice of the meeting, it did say 4 o'clock
Yeah, it's on the tourism page on the county page.
on the county.
Yeah.
If I was looking at the calendar, that's how I.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
So it's wrong on
It
the
was the wrong time
calendar?
on the calendar.
it was on the calendar wrong, but then the notice was correct, so yeah, I mean, we're not, we don't have access
Yeah,
to
just say
this.
that's,
Yeah.
you know, I can actually think.
Yeah, we should probably address it.
Yeah. It seems to always
I
be
think I
like
can
that.
be responsible for that calendar.
Yeah.
The county IT department.
So speaking of, we were gonna meet the alternate month, do y'all want to take December out of that? Do you have that much activity going on in December? Where you would need us all to get together and do,
I think December's fine, because people will be traveling and people will be gone, and, that could be a hard time to do a meeting. So we can take out December.
okay, so then that would just,
And Thursday, and in November, it looks like it's week before Thanksgiving, so that should be a conflict involved. So, any more changes to this every other month meeting schedule?
I think it's okay. September 17th is Constitution Day. I don't know if that's, I don't know, the day the Constitution was ratified of the United States.
All right, is there a motion to accept this schedule?
So moved.
And it can be changed, of course, if we have to, if something comes up, so. Is there a motion, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Officer and board members. I have to leave in 5 minutes.
So,
I've got a Zoom meeting.
So with the bylaws and the office of board members, that kind of goes together, so I think we need to define what our bylaws are, because, there have been a lot of confusions. I know that this is something that's been proposed several times, and this includes the resolution, what was in the resolution for the county, so I think that we need to review this and then we need to have something approved, and that this is our bylaws before we can set officers, because if we don't know, if we're going off so many different things, I think we need to have something very clear. This is what we do, this is what we are.
I would be willing to make a motion that we come back in February when all the new members have had an opportunity to read this. And then we can do, and now that we've all had a meeting together, that we could do our bylaws and our officer elections in February.
Absolutely. That was I just wanted to put it on there so we talked about it.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I think that it's important to, before we start doing officers, that we have bylaws that are clear that this is what we are.
Would that be at the March meeting, because there is no
I think we
February?
should do it at we should have a special call meeting for February, or not special call, but that could be part of that work study. Because once we've all done this, once we've had a chance to read the bylaw, it shouldn't take that long to do that. If you've got your sponsorship questions or any other work study type thing.
So do we need to set that February date while we're here? Or do you want to throw that, or do you want to look at your calendar?
Could I email you all by the end of the
That's fine.
Okay. Did we say a specific day that, okay.
And we could keep it on third Thursday,
Tuesday.
or Tuesday. I'm sorry. Hey, no, they throw me off, sorry.
Maybe I'll try to
You
keep
would
it
keep
around.
it a Tuesday after commission, because you don't have planning on Tuesday. Why don't we do it after commission that month? We're off the 12th, like, it'd be the 27th, February 27th, and I'm making that date up.
Yeah.
So the Tuesday after commission always, or Tuesday?
Well, just for this one.
Okay.
Yeah,
What?
because you're gonna give us a slate of dates.
Yeah, I'll check our calendar.
April and going forward on the even month.
Okay.
We meet on the odd month.
Okay.
Is 4 o'clock okay for everybody?
Yeah, I have a regularly scheduled Zoom meeting with the board I'm chairman of, that evening at 6, so 4 is fine for me.
And I think that we are able to have Zoom meetings if we need be, to do things virtually. I mean, if there are times where it's hard to get somewhere.
February, what? You said?
Mhm.
Okay, that's the fourth Tuesday.
Do virtual meetings since COVID emergencies ended, I'm not sure 100%
Okay.
on that, but
I'm not sure either, but.
It is currently illegal in the current standing bylaws,
currently illegal,
currently legal.
currently legal.
School boards can have virtual,
Okay.
I'm saying, county commissions cannot.
But if we're all,
Right,
but if
but
we're
our
also
commissions
all
cannot.
coming to get
Well,
a,
and if it's a study session too. I
Yeah, if it's just a study
Okay,
session.
I mean, just, some of the.
Yeah, we would just have to look into that to see if that is a possibility.
But, you know, in person is always preferable for the.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, but I just speak for the ones that would be difficult or challenging.
Who's our next commission meeting?
Be the fourth Monday in February. Because of President's Day.
Oh, yeah.
Any more business? All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
I did not get a second on.
I don't know, was that a motion to set it for that date?
Oh, no, we didn't do that.
Was that a
Oh, I'm
motion? or
sorry.
did
I
you
got,
just-
you made a motion, but I did not get a second.
Oh.
Okay,
A motion
sorry.
for what?
To set the
February.
February 27th date.
I don't have my calendar on me, but I was gonna check tomorrow, but we can do that. I'll clear my.
well, we'll do it tentatively,
Okay,
Tentatively set for the
Yeah.
27th.
and then you can get back to us when you can.
okay.
So do we need a motion for that?
I got a motion from Shannon,
Okay.
I got a second from.
I'll second it if you need
Okay.
to.
So, let's go ahead and vote on that. Is there, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Any more business?
Motion to adjourn.